Welcome back, everybody, to Two Gents, 2 Cents, brought to you by 15 Minutes of Finance. This is episode 12, Annuities and Other Guaranteed Income in Retirement. I'm super excited to talk about this episode. Probably most people don't realize or would not expect how excited we would be to talk about this episode. But annuities are a personal and I would say professional kind of passion point of us and our business in terms of what we've seen in the industry, what we've experienced, what we've sold, what we've gotten people out of, seeing the different options available to people. Annuities are very often a predatory product. Is that fair to say?
100%.
A predatory product. They're often not the best option for 98% of people that they're sold to. There are examples where annuities can make a lot of sense for you. We'll talk about those too. But the bottom line is this episode is born out of a passion to get people out of these predatory situations that are often sold to them. So I'll back up a second now, but if you're listening to this episode, we'd strongly encourage you, listen to this episode to the end. Listen to it with an open mind. There are probably better options for you, and someone else is making a lot of money on your annuity, and it's not you. That's the bottom line we want to get across, okay? So let's talk about what is an annuity, James. Basic level, there's different types, but what is every annuity? What is it at its core?
It's an insurance product at its core, and you're trading a large sum of money to get a guaranteed stream of income, ideally for the rest of your life. So some of them are term, so you can get like a 20-year annuity, but most of the time you're trading $1 million, and in return they'll say, we'll give you $40,000 a year for the rest of your life. That, at its bare bones, is what an annuity is. It's just an insurance contract it's a contract with an insurance company.
So it is an insurance product. The reason it's pursued is to guarantee income. So what happens to your original money? So we've got the income portion that's, they're paying you out something because they have custodianship really of your money during that period, right?
Yeah.
So what happens to the $1 million that you put in? Where is that money? What happens? Is it yours? When can you take it?
Yeah, so there's a term called surrender period, which is obviously a terrifying term if you think about it. So you're surrendering the right to your money for a period of time. So some are 3 years, some are 10 years. I've seen as high as 13 before. And every year you get to access a little bit more money. So not a very good deal. So if we use the 10-year as an example, every year you'll get 10% that you can take out of that annuity. And if you take that money out, then your guaranteed income also goes down. I don't know what the dollar for dollar amount is, but it's obviously not worth it.
So to break that down, so I give $1 million to an insurance company that's selling me an annuity, and I'm probably talking to an advisor or a salesman or something, but the person holding that annuity is an insurance company. They sell me that annuity. I put in $1 million. So you're saying I get, let's say, $50,000 a year. I also have the option to every year I can withdraw up to $100,000. And then if I do that, obviously my payment might go down to $45,000.
Correct.
So I can access some of my money. Most of it is locked up.
Yep.
And while that money is in there, it is creating guaranteed income for me.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct, yeah. We're getting a little bit convoluted just because there's so many different types of annuities. But the one that we're really talking about where the money's locked up, we're just talking about a general basic annuity. So there's fixed income annuities, index annuities, variable annuities, all of those at their very core, you're given some money to get a little bit of money guaranteed.
Gotcha. So you're giving money. You're giving money.
Yeah.
Okay, to get money guaranteed. Gotcha. So there's a couple reasons there's a reason we don't do annuities. First of all, we don't sell annuities. And there's a couple reasons why we generally dislike them and also the market surrounding them. The first and foremost, I would say from our conversations, is annuities are largely sold to people based on a sales tactic of fear. Yeah. So the guaranteed income portion is the selling point of annuities. If people are in annuities, it's probably from 2 or 3 situations in their past. They probably are a surviving spouse, a widower, or maybe a divorcee that no longer has income. They might not have the primary decision maker in their life anymore. Might be someone who has been with the kids, has been working part-time. They lose that partner, and now it's very overwhelming for them. They weren't the person who did that. I can say from personal experience, that would be Michelle. So Michelle does a lot of things. I'm a CPA. I obviously am the one handling tax returns and financial accounts. So if I died tomorrow, Michelle would have to call James and be like, I don't know, like, what accounts do we have? Yeah. Where are they? I've got to figure out where Brandon saved our tax returns, right? Because I've handled that. So there would be a lot of stress in terms of, oh man, I've got to get our financial situation. And then usually on top of that, surviving spouses have the life insurance portion. So usually they're stressed. They lose at best, dual decision, equal partner decision maker. Sometimes it's the primary financial decision maker. And then they get a life insurance. They have $500,000, $1 million, $3 million. And now they're saying, okay, I haven't done our finances in 35 years. And now I have $2 million that I have to make a decision for. Yeah. That promise of, look, we're going to sell you an annuity. You can't lose the money. It's guaranteed. Every year, you're going to get $100,000. There's nothing that can happen to that money. That promise to people, often that peace of mind, so to speak, completely outweighs any sort of theoretical disadvantage of that approach, because they have the peace of mind knowing I have guaranteed income. I don't care about what else you have to say. I got my peace of mind. That's all I care about. I'm stressed. I'm mourning. And so oftentimes, I mean, people will reach out to surviving spouses to sell annuities when that news is, from whatever format. You'd be surprised if people get information, but the algorithms and the type of advertising you can pay for, there are insurance companies and salesmen and advisors who are buying information of, advertising pools. I buy 10,000 clients. Those clients are literally widows, and they're approaching that demographic with annuities. Is that fair to say? Did I miss anything on that?
That was pretty good
on
for
that approach.
How they try to target people.
And then I would say the other thing is people who have been burned in the past. So I would say the other people who get sold annuities and who are they like the idea is they've been in the market and they lost a ton of money. That could be they're in the market at a really bad time, and then instead of waiting it out 2 to 3 years, it probably rebounded, but they sold because they were stressed out, or they've worked with an advisor that did a bad job in the past, and they lost a lot of money, and so now they're like, look, I'm not playing that game. I've been there. I don't trust advisors. I want guaranteed income. I don't care if it's 3%, 2%. I want to know my money is safe, and that I'm getting something for it because I've lost my money before, and anything is better than losing money again. Yeah. So what's the first thing you would tell those people? So usually it's some sort of past bad experience or fear about the future that's causing people to like the idea of guaranteed income. Why do you not like the idea of that? And why do you think there's better options?
Why do I not like that? Well, I guess the reason I don't like it is because I've been on the sales side. That's how I started my career, was with annuities. So I know the ins and outs of it. So I know the truth behind it. I know how they're sold. I know who they get sold to. Weak people is the best way that I would describe it. You're like an injured animal to these tigers and panthers and these sharks that are coming after the widows and the people scared to invest.
It's like weak in terms of vulnerable.
Yeah, vulnerability.
Not that you're a weak,
person,
but weak state. You're vulnerable.
They view you as weak, and it's like we're going to take advantage of these crippled, injured animals. And the reason I bring that visuality, that imagery in, is because that's what they told us. They were like, listen, these are the people that you can attack, and this is how you kill and how you eat. That was exact terminology used. So that's why I really don't like them, because when you're 23, 24 getting into the field and they're saying, oh, this is how you're going to make money is by taking advantage of vulnerable people, you're like, oh, something about that doesn't seem right. And so it took me a long time to realize what was wrong with these annuities. And so just to break it down, like, numerically for you. So
before you get into the details, let me just add kind of a visual in terms of what he's saying. The sales meeting, the culture. If you have $1 million or more dollars, someone approaches you, they sell an annuity. You're a widow. You're someone who's 80 and you're scared of the market. Okay, I don't know what I'm doing. I want to be trusted. They sell you $1 million annuity. When you do that, when that sale happens, there's some that salesman is some 25-year-old punk kid who's banging a gong, giving high fives as soon as that phone call is over. That's the honest visual. That's the dirtiness behind the scenes. They're going to approach it as, look, we're going to take care of you. You don't need to take risks. Just let us take care of you. And then they're getting a fat commission check, yearly fees, and they're getting high fives in the office. That's the honest truth of why they're selling annuities. The sales tactic and the truth behind the scenes of the organizational structure of the company approaching you are vastly different environments and vibes.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
All right, now you can break down kind of why annuities
Yeah.
are bad.
Why I don't like them. Firstly, that I would say they're a suitable product and not a perfect product, meaning I can sell, if I'm, where I previously was in my previous firm, I can sell them anywhere to anyone I want. It just has to be kind of the right fit, right? So if I convince you that you're scared to invest in the market, that's good enough. I won't get in trouble for selling it to you, even if you only have $1 million and you're a widow and that's your only income, right? That's a bad investment for someone like that. But it doesn't matter because I can say, hey, you were scared of the market. So it's not a very best interest for the client product. That's the first thing. Second is...
And go listen to episode 8. Do I need a financial advisor? And if this doesn't make sense to you, go listen to our explanation of fiduciaries versus people who only have a suitable standard and how that impacts you in terms of what they can sell to you.
Yeah. The next reason is just financially what it does. So he was talking about beating a gong and getting off the phone and high-fiving your buddies. Whenever we would do annuities, it would take me probably 20 minutes to do the paperwork, and there's 1,000 signatures for you to sign and initial. It takes me 20 minutes, and if we did $1 million annuity back then, I think the cap was 9%. So in 20 minutes, I would make $90,000. So I never was benefited to be able to sell $1 million annuity because I couldn't stomach it, but there were people who did. They would sell 3 in a day. So they're making $90,000 off of 20 minutes of work into a product that you're stuck in for 10 years. So that's the other thing, because financially it's obviously they're pushed. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to get $90,000, right? The insurance company wants to sell these things.
I was just reading an article that it's the highest growth ever because of all the scare of COVID, all these factors leading to higher rates of insecurity about people's finances. Highest growth ever was first part of last year, 2023, $77 billion is the market for annuities just in that period. That shows you the scale that these are pushed.
So first is suitable, not best interest, right? And the second is going to be the fees. So the commissions, I guess you could say, the commissions that the advisor gets or the salesman. And then the third one is going to be the fee. So this is what affects you that you'll never know. Okay, if you have an annuity right now, please give us a call. We'll do it for free. We'll call the annuity company with you. You don't have to call the guy or the woman who sold it to you. Okay, we'll call the company, and I'll just ask them all the exact questions, and all you have to do is write down the number, right? What's the initial annuity fee? What's the platform fee? What is the investment fee, the sub-account fee, the M&A fee, the E&O fees. All of these fees are a part of the annuity that you don't know about. You guys pay that annually. Okay, so the third thing is the fees. And, I mean, what did you read? On average, it's 2 to...
Yeah, so average advisor fee is just over 1%, I think. Normal fees are between 0.75 and 2% for an advisor. That depends on how much money you have, how actively you want it managed. Are you in treasuries? Are you in S&P 500 for 10 years with no trades, or are they actively trading week to week? On average, annuity fees are between 2 and 4%, closest to about 3% on average. So every year you're paying roughly triple what an advisor's fee would be to be managing your portfolio. That's what you're paying just in fees to keep that annuity active.
So the important thing, we're kind of all over the place with these products because there are so many intricacies that make them difficult to understand to the point where people are like, well, I'll just listen to my advisor. If you tried to go spend time reading annuities, you could spend a whole year, 40 hours a week learning about them. Like, that's how complicated they are. So we talked about the standard of care. Like, is it really the best thing for you? The commissions, the fees. And then the next thing is going to be, what exactly are you even in, right? When you invest in these products, there are thousands probably of different ways to invest. And the big three are the variable, the fixed, and the index. And you can still lose money in these products, which is the one thing that people don't get. I would say probably maybe 70% of annuities are never moved after they're invested in an annuity, because after the 10-year surrender period, right, the investment account is almost always lower than the principal that you had originally invested. And so they're like, oh, well, I might as well just keep it in the annuity because I'm getting guaranteed income on $1 million, but your actual money might be $750,000.
And let's be clear, the first annuity after that 10 years ended, which means when you re-up, so to speak, that's another annuity sale. That person who you just called and said, yeah, I want to keep going, that 5-minute phone call, that's another commission check. That's where more money is going towards that advisor.
Yeah, so I worked with this advisor, and I won't call him out, but he was, we just call a recycler. So he maybe had 25 clients, but every client had an annuity. Okay, so if he timed it right, so when these surrender periods were up, he could get 10, 20 clients into a new annuity because the surrender period was up. And he's like, oh, well, maybe there's a better option now on the market. Let's go take a look. There always is. Okay, every 10 days there's a new product that's better than the one you're in. So he would just recycle his clients, and he'd make $250,000 every year because he could just recycle them. He didn't actually have to do anything. And the clients are like, oh, my money's safe and I'm getting this income. The problem is the ultimate big issue is that it's sold using fear. So if these people these advisors selling these products made all the commission and it was actually the best thing for the client, nobody would have any problem. I wouldn't have hatred for this side of the field, but it's just not true. It's just not true. They sell things like COVID. They sell things like we're going to have war in the Middle East. Okay, Ukraine's going to invade Russia now that Russia's invaded Ukraine. Like, those types of things get people scared because you guys have worked your whole life for this money.
Look, we talked to a client yesterday, and 20-minute phone call. What we found out in that 20 minutes is husband had passed away last year. She had not been the primary decision maker. They did everything together. So now she's figuring it all out on her own. And she had multiple annuities that was sold to her. The rates of return were 2% and 3% in the annuity. That situation is most of it. They don't care how much return they get. They're nervous. They're scared. And instead of an actual advisor advising and saying, look, I understand that you're concerned about this. Here are multiple options for you that can avoid risk. Here's the pros and cons. Here's what I'd recommend. I think this is best for you in taking care of a client. It's a pounce in that moment of insecurity to lock them in because now they can't change their mind. You got your commission check and their money's in there for 10 years. They get their check and they can't advise you even if they want to because your money's in the annuity. It's not like they can do things now. Oh, I regret it. Can you actually invest my money? No, they sold you an annuity. It's a product. It's an insurance product, and now you're stuck because in that moment of fear, you were pounced on by a predator. Is what it comes down to. Okay, so let's take a step back. Let's break it down. Summarize. If you're lost, you're a little confused, what are all the things we talked about? Let's kind of go through the process here and talk about the ways in the process in which the situation is bad for you. So you have $1 million, okay? And you're being approached to sell an annuity. When that annuity is sold, your money is locked in. You buy a product for $1 million. And now you get that guaranteed income. It's almost never market rate. You're not getting 10%. You're not getting 11%. You're getting 2 to 5%-ish. Maybe a really good annuity for a longer period might give you 6%. That's probably pretty close to the cap. You're not really getting annuities that are paying above 6%. You've lost all flexibility. That's the first major risk that you've taken is you've bought a 5, a 10, a 20, whatever your annuity, and you can't take that money if you need it. It is in an insurance product. You've bought a product with it. Every year now, you can only access hopefully up to 10% of your money. and your money is paying exorbitant fees. That far outweighs mutual fund fees. It far outweighs advisor fees. It is one of the highest cost products and fees. You're paying roughly between 2 and 4% per year. Money is going out to fees. So that's the yearly consequence that you incur now. Then, after years of this not being what's best for you, your annuity comes up, and there's a very good chance, or even let's just talk about this, there's a likelihood, it's a possibility that your principal, that $1 million, has gone down because it's been incredibly safe investments and the fees have eaten away at the actual principal, and now you have $900,000. Now, you're in the same situation you were with less money, trying to decide what to do 10 years down the road. You've lost money, and now you're approached again, hey, let's put you in another annuity. Wasn't that income great? Where in the alternatives that we're about to talk about, that $1 million is probably $2.5 million, and you've been able to touch it the entire time. If there's an emergency, if there's medical bills, if there's a family member that needs help, whatever it is, it's always your money, and it's not locked up for indefinite periods. Is there any big element of disadvantage that I've missed in that process of one of the core reasons that this is not great?
Well, the only thing I would say is that with the annuity, you can access it at any time, but you will pay a very large fee to do it. It's almost not worth it. So maybe, I think I've seen a fee of 30%. So if you want to take 10 grand, well, now you got to take out 13. Because you got to be able to pay the 30% to get the 10.
On average, it's between 25 and 40% the cost to withdraw your money early. The big thing is that what you're paying for, you don't actually want. You're really scared. And scare, at least in the investment world, fear, it almost always has an expiration date. I'm just going to go into the last 2 months. So a month ago, maybe it was a month ago, I think, we were at market highs, 5,600, close to 5,700 in the S&P 500. Well, 2 weeks ago, it went down to 5,100, 5,200. Okay, that 10, 12, 15% drop, that right there, immediately, if I was selling annuities, I would use that as an example. Like, oh, hey, look, like if you were in an annuity, we wouldn't have to worry about that. But now, today, it's at like 5,400 already. It's already coming back, and it's been 2 or 3 months, or 2 or 3 weeks. Okay, I think it's 9 out of every 10 recessions is fixed within 12 months, and like 99% of them are fixed within 24 months. So the fear that you guys are being sold, if you guys can wait, just have patience, it almost always works out within 2 years. And for most people, you can do anything. You can wait for 2 years because you're not needing that money anyways, right? A lot of that is just investment over time. So you need to wait 2 years, or your alternative is pay 5% or 2 to 3% on average of fees for 10 years. So now you've lost 30%, when if you just would have waited, you would have had $2.5 million if it was $1 million, using the example. So that's the biggest thing with me is the fear. We've given this visual before, but kind of the big, very basic terminology you'll hear from people who sell annuities or even other investments, and people who maybe want an annuity. They're scared what they'll say. I don't want the ups and downs, right? Well, the market goes up and down. I don't want my money to go up and down. I don't want to lose money. We've given this visual before, but it's very important to understand. The market does not go up and down like this, where I'm up, I'm down, now I'm back up, now I'm back down, now I'm back up. The market goes up and down like this. It's going up and down, but it's going upward. The line graph through the loop is like this. It's not a flat line. Oh, now I have money, now I don't. Now I have money, now I don't. After 25 years, the bottom of your graph will be higher than the highs were 25 years ago, because on average your income is, or your wealth is doubling 7 to 8 years on average S&P 500 with compound interest. You're earning 10.26% historically. That math equals that every 7.5-ish years your money doubles. So The market does go up and down, but it's not going up and down in a sense that you're losing money at any point where the market goes down. The market is going up, but it's a rocky way up. Of course, it's not infinitely going to go up and the market's never down. You don't lose money when your wealth loses value. If I have $100 in Amazon and the stock goes down 20%, I haven't lost money. It is currently worth 20% less. But if I just wait, it's going to keep doing this, and now it's $37 5 years down the road. I didn't lose money when it was $18. I didn't lose $2. I just had an arbitrarily low asset value that isn't relevant until you sell. So you'll hear the expression, you can't lose money until you sell. That's often used by insane people who have lost almost everything, and it's the way to justify that they haven't actually lost money. But it is a really important visual to understand that you're being sold a scare tactic of you don't want to handle the ups and downs of the market. The market is going up and down, but it is going in an upward trajectory overall. So over the long term, even on the downs, you've gained money, you've gained value after a decade, 15 years, 20 years of that growth. And if you look at annuity charts, you are not going to get that return on your money. But you're being sold, you don't want to lose money, and that's why you're being sold an annuity. When you don't actually lose, you're not losing money. You lose money if you buy something for $20 and you sell it at $15. If I buy something at $15 and I sell it at $30, it doesn't matter that at one time it was $8. That doesn't matter. I gained money. I bought at 15, I sold at 30. Yeah. So if you just wait, you have options available to you. Don't fall for the tactic of you don't want to go up and down because it's not really going down over the long term.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah. And one of the other things, if we're getting into just the why are annuities, like, so say you're one of the people that like, oh, I actually kind of do want guaranteed income. So there are people that like you said, there's 2% for who it makes sense. Okay. I would say that that's probably fair. 2%. One of them is maybe a widow who has money and she's never going to work again. She doesn't understand the market. She is fearful of the market, right? She's not being sold fear, but she's like, yeah, you know what? I don't really like that. I just want to know what I'm going to get and I want to be able to count on that. Okay, maybe some of the money being in an annuity makes sense. There are some other important things that matter to her that they're not going to talk about. One is how it's taxed. Okay, when an annuity comes out or when a payment comes out of the annuity, it's ordinary income. Okay, it's one of the only investments that are actually like that. Okay, so when you invest your regular brokerage account money, you get capital gains if you hold it for more than a year, which is significantly better than the ordinary income. Okay, and one of the issues that I have with these annuity salesmen is that oftentimes an annuity, when it's sold to somebody, is bought with IRA money. So it's already a tax-deferred investment vehicle, right? We all know what IRAs do. You put money in an IRA, you don't pay for it now, you pay for it when you take it out. So that's 20, 30 years down the road. If you're retired, it's probably right now, right? With an annuity, it's treated the exact same way. So you're putting already tax-deferred money in a tax-deferred product, right? So it's like double dipping on something that but you're paying for that. Part of that annuity fee is that you're getting tax-deferred growth. So now you're paying for something that you already have. It's just another immoral thing that people aren't aware of with the annuities.
Yeah, that's a great point. The tax implication is a great point. It's a great segue into what options are available to you. So I'm sure some people will listen to this and say, cool, like it sounds like I shouldn't buy an annuity, but I still don't want to be in the market. I'm 80 years old. I don't want to be at a dip because I might not live for 3 more years. So I might die at the dip. And now my estate dropped before I pass it on, right? So there are people who are in a stage of life where that up and down is relevant to them. Mm-hmm. The number one thing that we tell people is to buy treasuries. So treasuries is a investment vehicle. It's a bond directly backed and issued by the federal government. They have never defaulted. So this is the absolute premium product for someone whose primary goal is I don't want risk. I don't want to lose money. I don't want to see my value drop. I want to make sure I'm getting a return. I do not want risk in my portfolio. We have a lot of clients we put in treasuries. Here's the difference. Treasuries are often a much higher rate of return. A lot of last year, they're around 5.4%. I think they're about 3-month treasuries are 5.1%-ish right now. Depends on when you listen. It might fluctuate by half of a 0.05, which is 1/100 of a percent. It might fluctuate a little bit based on the market. But the point is, it's around 5, a little over 5%. Okay, so and it's a 3-month vehicle. So it's sort of like in what we talk about, the surrender period of annuity being 5 years, 10 years. It's that same concept, but over 3 months. So in 3 months, you get a fourth of the 5%, right? Because you've earned income for a quarter of a year. So you've earned that 5.1% yearly interest over 1 quarter. And now the money's all done. You can buy more treasuries or you can do whatever you want with it.
The other thing too, though, is you can sell that 3-month treasury 2 days into it. You can't sell an annuity. So if you're like, I want my money back, it's like, okay, well, someone will buy that treasury.
Right. So you're never really losing money if you even within the 3 months. And there are 1-month treasuries if you really want to be that liquid with your assets. Okay. They're often higher. So 5.1%. A lot of annuities are not paying 5% or more, especially considering the fees eating away at your principal balance. But even if they're equal, okay, I did a basic calculation. Let's say you have $100,000 of income. So that would be $2 million in an annuity or a treasury in this regard, that you get $100,000 on about 5%. Okay, so you have $2 million, you want no risk. One person sells you an annuity, the other person is just investing you in treasuries. There's 2 major differences here. One is the liquidity of the money. That means you can access it at any time. That no one's getting a commission on your money in exchange for locking it up for 10 years. It's your money, you can sell it. And it's up every 3 months anyways. The other huge factor is U.S. Treasuries. They are not subject to state income tax. Okay, that's one of the incentives that the IRS uses to sell these vehicles. You do not have to pay state tax on the interest from a U.S. Treasury. So a basic calculation, a California resident, they're single, they have $100,000. That's $6,100 of state income tax that is not due on that interest. So you're often getting a higher return. You can access the money quicker. There's no fees. There's no fees at all to buy U.S. Treasuries. Okay, so you're not paying any fees, as opposed to 2 to 4% of your portfolio every year going to fees. And then when you get the money, you're not paying state taxes, which can vary from anywhere from $0 if you're in Tennessee to $6,000 or $7,000 if you're in New York, California, one of those states with high taxes. So there's so many steps along the way that reduce risk by even more. The U.S. government has never defaulted on a treasury, even during the Great Depression.
Yeah.
It's never happened. You will not lose your money. In fact, one interesting thing about our profession is, as fiduciaries, we can't use the term guarantee very often, because we can't say that. We can't say we guarantee and then put your money in the market and the market goes down. We can say guarantee when we tell people this is the interest you're going to earn on a U.S. Treasury, because it is guaranteed by the U.S. government, and we really can say, look, you are going to earn 5.1%. We guarantee it. We can say that ethically. That's how certain it is. We can't do that with other investments. That's the level of certainty that a treasury provides for you. Okay, so there's so many different advantages to pursuing that option than locking your money up because of your fear. And very few people are told about treasuries. Most clients that we talk about, they go, no one's ever told me to put my money in treasuries. And then they're almost a little bit off guard. Like, I need to do some research on that. Like, I'm not sure. No one's ever told me to do that before. But they've heard of annuities because the annuity market has an entire monstrous industry behind it, promoting it and supporting it. And you probably know people with annuities. Doesn't make it the best option just because you've heard about it and you've got 20 salesmen giving you calls trying to sell it to you.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah, very fair. And so we'll just use the fear again, because that's the number one thing that gets these things sold. All you have to do is say you have an annuity right now and you're like, oh, I got an annuity. I don't want this annuity. Like, now I'm upset at myself. All you have to do, okay, is look at what you're in. And what I mean by that is just call the annuity company and say, hey, I don't really understand this product. What am I in? Why am I in this? And if you say that to them, they're going to be like, well, and they'll have to go look at their notes of why and when you were sold it, and they'll have to go through it with you. And again, if you say to me, break down every single fee that I pay, there'll be at least 3, maybe up to 8 things that you're paying for, right? And that alone should make you go, well, I didn't know any of that. Why was I sold something I didn't know? Or why was I sold something I didn't understand? Okay, and then you can go through that process. We were using a 10-year annuity as an example for a surrender period. Most of them, I would say, are probably 5, right? 5 to 6. So if you're in the middle of it, I would start trying to take your money out, okay? And if you have been thinking about an annuity and you don't have one yet, please call us. We'll call your advisor with you. Like, I'm not afraid to speak to somebody. Like, there's professional courtesy in our field, a lot of it. I'm not afraid to go over it with them and be like, hey, explain to me why they're in this, right? Advisors are not always held to the very best standard, the fiduciary standard. We are, okay? We have to. And it's just one of the biggest differences between our firm and every other firm. The annuities are used to sell fear, and we don't like doing that. Okay, we don't like using the fear. It is not realistic to your financial goals. Sorry, I wanted to throw that in there.
No, that's all great. This is the last thing that I'll add. We don't want this to be a super long episode. It is more of a singular focus. The big thing I want to add here is think about it. So if you're like, I don't know, these guys just sound anti-annuity. And I'm sure trust me, you can read articles, there's annuity people that talk bad about advisors. You can probably hear another podcast episode, and in 30 minutes, they might have you convinced, be like, wow, advisors really do, like, they're just putting stuff in investments. This is the percentage of advisors that lose people money. Like, I can't believe people just trust their money. Of course I would do an annuity. You might be able to be convinced by somebody else. So this is what we would encourage you. Look at it from the perspective of the other parties on the back end. How much lost or missed opportunity for growth must your investment have? How much not utilized by you return must your money be able to make them that they're able to offer somebody a 10% commission on the sale of the annuity? So right off the bat, they're paying the person who sold it to you $100,000, and then they're paying you 3, 4, 5% every year. The fact that they can guarantee that to you, plus pay the advisor that sold it to you a ton of money, they must be pretty darn sure that they can make a lot more money than that on your money that they now have for 3, 5, 10 years. So you should talk to somebody who can give you the return on your money rather than the annuity company. They would not be able to sell annuities if they weren't so unbelievably confident that they can make way more money with your money. And that's why they can promise you $100,000 a year, because they're making $250,000 off the $2 million that you gave them. So that's really just logically how I would challenge you to think about this. The market could not exist if there weren't way better options for your money. They can only promise you the return of an annuity because there's better options that they can pursue with your money. And our philosophy is your money should be working for you. Our cheesy motto is you're always going to care about your money the most, and we would like the opportunity to care about it the second most in your life. That's really what it comes down to, is people are not having their money work for them because it can't be, or the annuity market cannot exist. Logically, there could not be annuities if they weren't making way more money on your money. It wouldn't exist. It wouldn't be possible. Yeah. So they can't be that great for you. They can't be that great for you because they can guarantee you money. They have to be so confident that they can make more than they're paying you, and that your money can earn them more money than it's earning you, or they wouldn't be able to sell you an annuity. It would be a lost cause for them. They would risk bankruptcy because the moment things go down, they would go insolvent, right? they're not worried about it because the risk is not that high, but they're trying to convince you that it is, and they're trying to use fear so that they can sell you something that gives you this much return while they make money on what you've earned and what you've earned for your whole life.
The funny part about it, and I'm not saying I'm the wisest person in the world, but I'm pretty proud of myself that I thought this was weird at 23 when I first started. They're promising, the fear that they talk about is like war and a 9 Richter scale earthquake, or a what's the Yellowstone erupting.
Oh, yeah.
Like, those are the types of calamities they're talking about. Like, well, don't you, like, what happens to your money if that happens? They're investing your money right now. They're doing it. So, like, you're giving them money and they're investing it. So they're doing the exact same thing you would be doing. So if that calamity happens, they're not paying you out. They're saying they can invest better than you. They're saying that they're gonna that they'll guarantee it when they really can't guarantee with the sales that the tactics that they're using. If Yosemite explodes, no one is getting their money from XYZ insurance company. Okay, that's not happening. It's all fear. And so if you guys could do one thing, if you're being sold an annuity, call us or call another fiduciary. Call an RIA, right? An RIA. If you type in RIA financial advisor, they'll come up, okay? And if they're an RIA, they're a fiduciary. Just get a second or third opinion. So many people who get sold annuities, oh, I liked our sales guy. He was really great. And that's who they use forever. I don't recommend that, right? And I don't even want my clients doing that. Like, I have clients who they love us, they refer us, and sometimes it's kind of like, well, are we really doing the very best? Like, are we really doing the best? And we want to audit ourselves, kind of. And I would tell you, if you're being sold products, have another opinion, have a second opinion. We're happy to be that for you. And so would another advisor, right? That's part of the reason why they're not working for these big companies anymore, is that they wanted to go RIA only, and they're not able to sell products. It's not something we can do.
At the very least, they're ethically bound as fiduciaries. They have accountability to do what's best for you, not just what's suitable. At the very least, they can make sure that the annuity you're in is not a bad one. At the very least. Yeah. You might be being sold an annuity and the fees are 3.7%. They're on the high side and you're only getting 4% interest. And they might be able to say, look, if you do not want risk, you do not want to take risk, there is a world in which a person is very concerned. They don't really need income. An annuity is the best option for them. It occasionally exists. So at least make sure you have a fiduciary that's making sure they're selling you the best annuity for your situation, which means the surrender period, the interest rate, the fees have to be best for you. They can't just be pushing the absolute highest commission possible for the insurance company that they represent.
Yeah, and one thing I didn't touch on, he brought up a great point. So I said we don't sell annuities, or that we can't sell annuities, but like he said, if you're not in a very good annuity, there are things that we're able to do to move you. They're called fee-only annuities. So the reason we can't really sell annuities the way other people will be, that they're not fiduciaries, is because it's commissionable. We can't make commission. Okay, we get paid fee only. So if there is a bad annuity product and I go, oh man, we got to move this to a fee only annuity, there are options. In which case, there's most likely no surrender fee. You're only paying a very small fee, which I think we get to decide. So you're not paying, you can't move that here unless you pay 1.5%. That doesn't exist. So if there are options and products for you, if you're stuck in it for, say, 5 more years, it's like, you should probably get out of that. You should probably be in something better for the rest of that time. But yeah, you're not. We use them as an example of how terrible they are, but they're terrible to buy into. If you're already in one, there are options to improve, and so that's what I would tell you is you should always be trying to improve.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we wrap this up, this is really one of those episodes that we will ask. Please share it with people. There are so many elderly people in bad investments. They're not just annuities, for the record. There's also really bad portfolios that have zero activity or maintenance and they're just feeing and doing nothing. There's just, in general, a lot of predatory practices towards the elderly. And it's not even our field. There's predatory practices in home repair because they know they can charge. I mean, it's the unfortunate state of things that people who are elderly, they're seen as vulnerable and they're often taken advantage of. And it happens a lot in our field. It's not unique to our field, but it definitely happens a lot in our field. So please share that if you know someone, if you've got a parent, a grandparent, if you're elderly and this applies to you and you know some friends who are in the same boat, just share the episode, send them the Spotify link, send them the Apple Music link, whatever you listen to podcasts. Try to share this word there. It's not necessarily that annuities are the devil. Sometimes we say that. They're not. But overall, the market surrounding the annuity salesmanship is very predatory. It's based on fear. It's often surrounded by exorbitant fees. It's really something that in, where are we at, 45 minutes, someone could hopefully really get educated in a way that could save them hundreds of thousands of dollars over the next 5-10 years of their life. So something we're really passionate about. It really is. And we talk about this a lot. This episode's a long time coming. We talked to a lot of people. It's something that long before we were even partnered, James would talk to me about all the time is, oh my God, this person's annuity. I just looked at their thing. They're paying 4% fees and they're getting 3% return and they're just getting robbed, So it's something we really care about. And if you could share this episode with people who you think it could apply to at all, we'd really appreciate it. We think it's useful information. If nothing else, it gives an extra opinion on the situation and hopefully gives them a perspective of what type of questions to ask, who to turn for better advice, even if it's not us, an RIA, a fiduciary, hopefully gives options to people who might be in a situation that is not best for them.
Yep.
All right. Thank you for listening. As always, look out for the next episode next week. Episodes usually come out. Sorry for the break. To wrap this up, me and my wife had our first kids. That's why we were a little out of the loop. So we welcomed Lucas Paul West to the world on July 21st. It's very exciting. I've been home a lot, and I have not been here in the studio recording with James. So we're back on the schedule. Episodes will be recorded every Tuesday. That usually means they're posted every Wednesday. We really appreciate everyone listening, sharing our episodes. Always feel free to ask us questions, give us ideas for topics you'd really like to hear covered. We'd love to answer questions in our episodes. We'd love to get topic ideas for future episodes that directly answer questions that people have that listen. So hopefully you continue to learn from this, and we look forward to talking to you next time.